Good morning, everybody. Back again. I wanted to explain a little bit better because I did watch my video back yesterday and I don't think I explained really about the lights correctly. So I just wanted to be clear that you knew what I was doing with regards to the lights, because I don't think I explained about how the actual button worked before I show you another way of doing it. But with a 3mm LED lights, let's just show you, you get two prongs. That's better, you can see that there. You get two prongs. One is longer than the other. Now it's the longer prong that you want going in between the battery and the piece of paper. So this is actually the one we did yesterday. So if I can show you, that's the front. Now, if you look to the side, if you can see that, you can see where the longer prong has slot in between the back of the battery, see, and the piece of paper. So just wanted to explain that, and also that when you are setting up, if you're going to make a button, when you are setting up your button, I don't know if you remember where I said you have to use 3 pieces of the double-sided foam tape. What you would do is you would slot that. So you would glue that on the back of there so that it's disguised. So I don't think I actually explained it correctly, but that's how that button would work. But just this morning I'm going to show you a different way of doing it, and it was just if you didn't want to do colouring, stamping, if you're not a colour or stampist, if you're new at memory books or making any books, you can make a book with purely just white card. We're going to go through this together, purely with just white card and a couple of bottles of Nuvo drops. You don't have to colour. These work perfectly, and you know, the dies really do the work for you. They really do. So sometimes I think less is more, but I just wanted to show you that you can put these together without having to colour anything and just literally use the dies and let the dies do the work. Now for this, I did incorporate, so we're still using the same sets as what we did with the other book, but I incorporated this die as well because this die is brilliant. Day at the Sea, the celebration frame. And what I did was I cut that out as a whole, but I cut into all the shapes, you know, and used all the shapes instead of making it a frame. And again, these work perfectly with all the other dies. So it just goes to show you, you know, I have so many dies in my stash. I really wanted to use them together. So I'm going to just show you a different way without having to make a button, without having to actually make a cover underneath. I'm going to show you a way of doing it a different way. So I've done exactly the same as I have with the other book, only this time I have cut out an inner circle to cover up the insides. So before, let's show you, I've got one here actually. So if you look before on these ones, you can see through all the intricate work. So here you can, where are we? Oh, there we go. There we go. Well, hunt the die cut. You can see through them. You see we've used the acetate, so you can see through this. It's exactly the same, only I've cut an inner circle out to cover it all, because we really do need that, especially, that's better, especially when you're using the lights in this way and you're not making buttons for them, because you want them hidden and you're going to need this cover space around the button. So exactly the same, only just on plain card. And we have used, again, 4 double-sided foam tapes. We've built it up to 4 layers all the way around. It's much easier to do it on this one as well, because you get, if you can see that, you get much more. Where am I going? There we are. We get there. We get there. So you get much more space you do get much more space around it. So this is honestly much quicker. It's a much quicker book to make. Anyways, right. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to position the battery and stick the battery on without anything. So what we're going to do, this is the one we had yesterday. We are going to, and you can as well, let me explain. You see I have cut around this corner. So I've cut that corner off. I've actually had to because I didn't realise, because I've stuck this on, and I've given it a bit of height, so I've used double-sided tape. I didn't actually think about it. I needed the space. So be aware of that when you're doing it, because you can't put anything on top of it. These have to go flat. So what you're going to do is you're going to position your light. Where are we? You're going to position your light, and I don't know how I did this and how I got it in there. We may have to cut a little bit of that off, but you're going to position your light first, and you're going to check again that one, this is going to completely fit round the edge, and also two, that you're not going to see your light. So that is important to do that step first. It really, really is important to do that. So what you would do is you lay your button flat, just take a pencil and just draw a little line at the corner to mark where your light is going to be. Now you're not going to see this, but it is your marker. So you've just drawn a little line just there, just to show a marker, just to show where you're going to stick it. So we'll go ahead and stick the battery down. Remember, we're going to put the flat side down. So that's where, I'll try and glue it up here so you can see, that's where you are going to stick your button at the back. And we're going to place that just in there, and we're going to press down, making sure, ooh, we're going underneath. I don't know how I got that in there before. Making sure you're going underneath any, you want it flat is what I'm trying to say. You don't want it like I've done it, where I'll show you in a minute. I'll show you in a minute. I mean, really, the best thing to do actually, if you're doing these for the first time, is don't put anything in the middle. Do them completely plain. So once you've made up your top with your layers and you've got your base, don't stick anything down. Do the battery first and make sure that you know that the battery is hidden and that it sticks flat, which is what I'm going to do before that dries. Going to make sure that's flat. That's better, so that we can get these on. There we go. So that we can get these on and that they are completely covered. So that's important to do. Don't do what I've done. You see where, I mean, I'm quite good at doing these, but do you see where I've put that on there? Ooh, that way. There we go. Don't do that. Basically, because you want the battery to sit flat. Luckily it's worked, I think. So now you're going to pop this on. Now, because I have done that, I am going to put some glue over the top to give myself some wiggle room, just to make sure this is going over it. You can do this when you first start doing them. Normally I don't, because I've got so used to doing them, but I didn't actually think about it. So it's just a tip, you know, don't do that. Don't, make sure you put your embellishments on the inside after you've done the battery. Put the battery in first so that you know it's covered, because you don't want to do what I've done. Now, this is where, and this is why I have specifically done it this way, because, sorry, you can try and be not to see, my head. There we go. There we go. So that is a different way of using the lights, of, you know, rather than making the button, that's a different way of using the lights within the book. So there we go. Now for this book, like I say, it's just so easy, you don't have to. I am going to put this on the front. Now I'm going to lift that, so we are going to use some foam tape just for extra decoration. I have literally just used white card and these two bottles of Nouveau Drops, which are Ivory Seashell and the Clear Morning Dew. That's all I've used, just white card and a couple of, and I really do, I think this looks so pretty. You don't need anything else. So I've just, can we see? So I've used the Ivory Seashell on the starfish, and just to give it a little bit more, you know, dimension, I used the clear little drops in the corner, you know, so it looks like there's a little splash of water there. I've done exactly the same as I did with the other card. I'll just show you the front page, where I've kind of made a shaker again page, the same principles, using exactly the same Nouveau Drops. I used white glitter that I had in my stash because I didn't have anything white, but I'm sure Tonic must do a white glitter. In fact, I'm looking up there now and I'm thinking I might actually have some white glitter. Let me have a look, because I couldn't find anything white. No, I haven't. But they may do a white glitter, something white. But if you're working on the, you know, if you're using just completely white card, then obviously stick to white and white glitter. So now I'm going to show you how to set up the book and the pages. Again, it's the same principle as the other book, but I just, like I say, wanted to show you that you can make up these books without having to colour, without having any dyes, and by just using, this is from, again, the cheap shop that we all know. It's 200 GSM, it's £1. If you are, you know, you're not a competent stamper, you don't like stamping, and you just want to stick to plain die cutting, then you can use that and it's not going to cost you a fortune. So we will come back and I will show you how I've put the book together and putting the front on as well. Right, so I'm back again with the made up book, and this is why I wanted to show you as well the difference between working with a 300 GSM and working with a 200 GSM. And also, excuse me, with regards to the lights, only do 3 sets in here because, and this is why, because I've used a 300 GSM on this book, whereas in the other book I didn't. I used a 200 GSM. It gets a lot thicker. Now, the 4 sets of lights possibly would have worked in the other book, but it's not quite in this one, and I'll explain why if you can see it. When the book is lying flat, don't know if you can just see that, there we go. When the book is lying flat, the bottom light up is going on. So that battery is going to run up really quickly, and that is because we've used 4 light up pages. Now, in hindsight, you would be much better using just 3 in each book, because 4 just gives it too much depth. So that is worth noting. Only use 3 of the light up pages in each book. Excuse me, I must just have a sip of water. The weather's beautiful here today. Right, so I'm going to do, actually, let me stand up for this so you can see. I'm just going to do a quick run through of the book itself and what I've done and just how easy it is. Right, now let me get my bearings. There we go, so you can see it. So with the front page, we've done exactly the same with the shaker cards. All I've done is just literally die cut onto white card, put some double-sided foam underneath the edging with just some glitter, and I've just used the Nouveau ivory seashell for the insides. But this is just, let's go, oh, there we go. Right, working these things are quite difficult, aren't they? Right, there we go. Just wanted you to see it. Now, on the insides of this one, all I've done is just literally cut in the Whaley Good Time stamp set. On the die cuts, you get little stars and fish. All I've done is cut them out of white card and pop them in the centre. So you don't even have to really get anything. You don't have to have glitter. You can just use your white card to cut your shapes out and pop those into the shaker part. And again, it's just literally white card. With these, I used the, is it Seize the Day? I'll get that for you. I think it's down by my desk. And just use the inserts. Now, I think this is where there's the problem as well with the GSM being 300. Plus the fact we've got 4 of the light ups in there. I mean, this is on at the moment, the one underneath. I don't know if you can see the light, but it is on because of the pressure of the weight. So try not to put a light up one on the bottom, I would say. But anyways, that's where the problem is, because I've heightened these. You can see, you know, I've used the double-sided foam tape to heighten these. So like I say, just be aware when you're using 300 GSM that you're going to put more weight, more bulk to it. Like I say, in hindsight, it's probably better using a smaller weight of card if you're doing these. Now, there we go. You can just see all I've done there, again, is use the mermaid dies. Should we bring her up a bit? There we go. See the mermaid dies, and you can just see that light going on. And again, it's just all white card. Let's show you. There we go. We've got it. So that's the page we just did. That's how I showed you how to actually put the lights in. And again, it's just die cutting. And really, the dies are doing the work for us. We're not doing anything. You don't have to stamp, you don't have to colour. And I just think it looks so pretty. It really does look really, really pretty. Again, another card. I did get glue on the inside of that, so make sure you clean your card, your acetate off before you stick it down. But again, that was just cutting out from the, I'll have a look, I think it's the Seize the Day. And then that's where we've used this fish die, and it's just lovely. It's so pretty. So sometimes less is more, really, isn't it? Less is more. But like I say, do be aware, because you can just see, can you just see that light? Now, if I was to put weight, if I was to lay that flat and put weight on it, that bottom light is going to stay on. So, huge tip, only do 3 pages of light ups. Do not use 4 in each book, because that's what will happen. But yes, that was just another way of doing these books without having to stamp or die cut. And I actually think this looks really pretty. Out of the 3 I've done, this is my favourite. Again, I've just used for the pockets, although I have to say I probably won't be able to get these in now because I use 300 GSM and it's quite bulky. I think that is enough bulk, really. If you stand them up, obviously it's not going to affect the lights at all. The lights aren't going to be affected. It's just obviously if you lay them flat, and especially if you're giving them out as gifts for people, they're gonna, you want them to look really professional. So that is the biggest tip I could really give you, and that is just put 3 pages. Just use 3 pages of light ups inside the books. Don't go for 4 unless you're using a thinner weight of card maybe you know these are going to be, you know, stood up in the set. Well, that's it, nice and tied with the bow. And I can show you the 3 sets that we've done now in the range, which were the Oceans of Love, which was the one that we did yesterday, and the I Love You Very Much. I'm not sure, I will show you this one. So it just, they're just different, but they're really good to work with. This was another way, actually, oh, that's come unstuck, of covering up the tape, the double-sided tape. This was actually the original one I'd done, which was with the I Love You Very Much. Again, I'm not sure if you can see those, where I just, you know, used all the dies. Can you see that lighting up? There we go. There we go. So that was actually the first one I did, and that was just using, again, the markers. I used Craft Kit 27, which was the fairy craft kit, to cut. See where we've got the inserts. It all works perfectly with this set. But yes, that was the first set I'd done. So you can just see. See, once you know what you're doing, that's it. You can, you know, really use your imagination and just, you know, let that run wild. But there's 3 different ways of making using the Keepsake Tonic book. And just to let you know, it was called, I don't know if I did tell you, the one that I used, it's Day at the Sea for these pieces, you know, that I've used here. It's got the, like, life ring, is it? Lifeguard ring. And, you know, you've got another sentiment in there that I've used. So they're really good, and you can chop all of this down. You've got an anchor, you know, you can chop all of that down and use it separately within your books. But those are 3 different books using the Keepsake Insert Creator, and I would definitely recommend having a go if it's your first time, you know, using these books, creating memory books. Honestly, this is the best place to start, because it's a nice small project, and then once you know, get used to it, then you can start using all the bigger books, the Memory Book 1, Memory Book 2, Memory Book 3, which is slightly bigger, but maybe a little bit more work involved. Depends what you're doing with them. If you're going to make all the flips and the flaps, then yes, I can show you as well before I go. And this was a book I had made right at the beginning when Tonic first released. Let's pop those over there. Sorry, I don't want to see my head in the way. Let's pop these over here. But this was a book that I had made. It's quite a chunky book. Right at the beginning. You'll have to excuse my atrocious spelling mistake as well, which I will cover up. But this was one I made right at the beginning. It's actually got tissue paper in it. I thought maybe you might want to have a little look. Maybe I'll do a little walkthrough of this at a later stage and show you, because this really took me like a ridiculous amount of time to make. It really did. So I'll maybe do a separate walkthrough. But as you get, you know, more confident with doing memory books, honestly, we all have to start somewhere, and we're all at different levels of crafting. You know, like I said, this was when the Memory Book 1 first came out. Oh, I don't know what date that was. I wouldn't have a clue. But I will do a walkthrough of this book as well, so you can see. We got a bit of sticky stuck. So you can see what I did with this book. But as you know, get better at your crafting, then you can really experiment, you know, start making hard covers for your books. But I will do a walkthrough of that book. Another one, actually, I've got one here. This, again, was the first memory book when they were first launched. So maybe I'll just do a walkthrough. Now, this was quite naive, really, because these are where I first started making memory books, and this was just so chunky. I just was, I got, you know, carried away with myself because I wanted to use every single die set that I had in the Tonic range. So I just got so carried away. But you can do that's the thing, you can get so carried away. You know, these have got all the flips and the flaps. He'll pull out. You know, you can get really carried away. But yes, we all had to start somewhere with making books, and as you get a bit more competent, you'll get better in your experiment with all of them. But maybe I'll do a couple of walkthroughs of these and show you how I put a lot of these together, because I really would like to break this down a little bit, because there were so many different ideas when I first got them, because I just thought, wow, when they first came out, this memory book was the first one that came out. I think Jodie, this was her idea. I mean, what an amazing idea she came up with, really, because now so many people are making them, whereas before, you know, lots of people, it was, you know, didn't really know where to start. I certainly didn't. I had done some memory books, but not as easy as these were to make. But yes, you know, my ideas sort of run away with me with all of this, with flips and flaps, and you know. But yeah, we've all got to start somewhere, and like I say, I would say more than anything, best bet is to start with the small books. So hopefully that's given you some ideas. Brains are all flowing, and you know, maybe if you've got the set, you haven't tried it out, you know, just give it a go. Thank you so much for watching again, and stay tuned, because I will have more tutorials coming up. And if you want to subscribe, then do hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in my next tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.